undocumented migrants to sanctuary cities across the country in an attempt to pressure Congress into fixing U.S. immigration issues. Now, Democratic lawmakers and leaders of sanctuary cities accuse Trump of using people as pawns, and they question the legality of the whole move. But the White House is calling the move an olive branch and not a way of retaliating. We have to bring in our 360 view, and we have to bring in our political panel to give us that. Democratic strategist and federal attorney Jan Ronis and Ned Ryun, CEO of American Majority. Thank you so much for joining me, gentlemen.
Good to be with you, Scotty.
Thank you.
Okay, so I have to start with you, Jan. Is this about punishing opponents of Trump, or is this actually just making elected officials responsible directly for their votes federally?
Well, I think it's the former. I mean, this is really vile behavior on the part of the President of the United States, who is suggesting and threatening to inflict harm on communities within the United States that may, the majority of whom may support the movement, the asylum movement. So this is really disgusting behavior for a president. It's just really vile. I can't believe it. I have no historical perspective on this or any memory of any president ever threatening a region of the United States because that particular region may not support some of his policies. This is really unreasonable.
Okay, but Ned, is it vile? Or is this just a reaction of the president saying, here, you wanted it, you get him in your backyard instead of the rest of the country?
Yeah, no, that's right, Scotty. I mean, and I'm quoting Nancy Pelosi here. All Trump is doing is sending packages of love to some of the most humane cities in America. In fact, Democrats should be thanking Trump because of their behavior and what the rhetoric that they have used. They have said it is fine, we will accept them into these humane sanctuary cities, and Trump's calling their bluff, and now they're reacting and saying that's not fair. And I think you're right, Scotty. It's time for elected officials to actually bear the consequences for their actions, and I think this would put a fine point on it. If you think that there is an issue of flooding these cities with an increase of potentially thousands, maybe tens of thousands of illegal immigrants, perhaps it's time for us to have a larger conversation about what's taking place on our southern border. Scotty, when the Border Patrol apprehended 103,000 illegal immigrants in March alone, and we know that they're only catching 1 out of 2, maybe only 1 out of 3, we have a very serious issue. And as Jay Johnson said, this isn't a Republican or Democrat issue or crisis or not a crisis. This is a crisis. We actually have to fix this, and people need to come to the negotiating table and have a serious conversation.
Well, that's the thing, Jan. I bring it back to you, and you're also a lawyer. With the legality of this, if they're putting these folks that politicians don't necessarily want to make sure are staying out of the country, if they're putting them right in their backyard, what is the difference between right in their backyard and making everybody else's backyard?
Well, this is not how we settle political disputes in this country. We do it through the electoral process, or we do it through negotiations, or we do it through congressional action and other legislative approaches. But you don't threaten to inflict pain and punishment on a particular region of the United States because that region, as I said earlier, may not agree with your policies. There's a lot. Listen, it is time for a more broad-based discussion on the whole problem of undocumented immigration and the problem of asylum seekers. Certainly it's time, and it's long overdue. But this isn't how you treat fellow citizens in the United States. And in fact, probably, for example, in California, even within the sanctuary cities, probably 40% of the people that live in those cities probably support Trump's policies with respect to these asylum seekers. And should they be punished as well? Nobody should be singled out for punishment. We should settle this through the way we've always settled these political disputes, through the political process.
But Ned, the American people are being punished right now because of this,
exactly.
You would say.
No, this is my exact point, Scotty. The American people, and especially the American taxpayer, have been punished for decades because of deeply immoral leadership in both the Democratic and Republican Party. And for somebody to say now, well, we're punishing those that live in sanctuary cities, it's not fair. How is this fair? How is this humane to the American taxpayer? Quite frankly, Scotty, how is this humane to our children? This is something where we already are spending 116 to 132 billion a year, and that's, I think, a low estimate. And guess what? That figure's not going to go down anytime soon, Scotty. That figure's only going to increase. Democrats and Republicans actually have to come to the table. They have to come up with a solution. And you know the thing is, Scotty, a lot of us on this side of the debate, I think people would be surprised at how reasonable we would be, understanding this is a mutual problem. We have to fix what has built over the last 30, 40, 50 years and say we're never going to do this again. I'm for a grand bargain. I'm for actually saying those that are in the country, we can actually come up with a solution to get them citizenship, but we're going to deal with E-Verify, we're going to deal with chain migration, we're going to say this will never, ever happen again and move forward from there.
But Jan, you've heard this the last 2 years coming from President Trump. It's a lot of political posturing. He just throws things out there to feed the red meat to his base. How do you actually think that President Trump's going to go through on this, considering it was first proposed last fall, now it's come to light, and do you actually think President Trump is going to fulfill this policy?
Of course I don't think he is, but what kind of leadership is that, even suggesting or threatening that he might do it? Again, as I said, this isn't how we settle disputes in this country. And Ned is right. We need a comprehensive discussion among all parties and all political persuasions in this country to try to solve this problem. But it's unprecedented. I don't think anybody can ever suggest historically that a president has threatened a region of the United States because that region didn't agree with what his policies are. This is unprecedented.
Well, both of you, I want to thank you for joining us. And you know what? It's a funny thing. For once, Cher probably actually agrees with you, Ned. As you saw, a lot of conservatives this week, and we're very happy to see her tweet. But it shows that there's actually a common ground that we can come to. And thank you two gentlemen for finding something at least to agree on in the very end. Thank you.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.